Hello, guys, and welcome back to the Unfiltered Feed podcast. Today, we are here to talk about the ongoing India versus New Zealand T20 series. At the time of recording, 3 games have been completed, and India are at an unassailable lead of 3-0. So, we'll talk more about that. And I've got with me, as always, Yash. So, before we dive in, I would like to ask you the same old question. Were you able to watch any of the games live?
I watched the last few overs of the first and second T20 games, but today's game finished way too early. So by the time I woke up, it was already over. But I did follow the scores and watch the highlights, so I'm fairly updated about the way India dominated.
Yes, that they did. So instead of going game by game and all of that, I think it would be better if we just analyze this series as a whole so far, because
Yeah,
there have been certain patterns in the way teams have played, and we'll also talk about New Zealand, because even though uh, India are overwhelmingly more popular side, New Zealand also are going to compete in the T20 World Cup very soon. So I think we can start with the first key point, for me at least, before the series started, which was I wanted to see how Ishan Kishan would do, because he's come back to the side after quite a while, and I wanted to see if it was the right decision to include him just a month before a major event. So he did really well in 2 of the 3 games, and I think he looks like he's a part of this setup.
yeah, he's one player who I've always liked, partly because he played for Mumbai, but I genuinely like the way he kicks off an innings because even when he played for India a few years back, he had a few good innings. I think he scored a 50 in his first ever T20 game for India against England. And then somehow he just lost his way and couldn't really get those runs consistently. But I'm really happy that he's back now. And he had a fantastic S-mat where he led Jharkhand to the title. And he's continued that form clearly. And I think they should back him and hopefully can keep playing like this at least in the next few games for us.
Yeah, and while he was included to, I think as a backup of Sanju Samson for in the
Yeah,
squad, I can totally see him actually taking Sanju's spot, like it has been the case with Sanju Samson over the years.
yeah,
Whenever he seems to be doing well and finding stability in his career, something or the other goes wrong. And it's not even that you can't blame him, because here you clearly can. When you are in a position where you have got the backing and all of that, I think it takes a bit too much advantage of the backing and just tests the limits of the management at times. So I think India don't have a problem, because if Sanju fails, they of course have Ishan Kishan, who many might say is a better option. Uh, but I would just like to see the management not take decisions based on such a small performing window of Ishan Kishan. I think they have to back their own beliefs, and the fact that they trusted Sanju Samson for this job, and even removed Shubman Gill, and kind of
yeah.
in a way acknowledged their mistake of removing Sanju Samson in the first place. They course corrected it, and now again to move away from that would seem a bit weird. So I think Ishan Kishan has kind of locked his spot as a backup, but I still feel they will start with Sanju Samson come the World Cup.
Yeah, I also feel that way. And I was actually listening to Ajinkya Rahane, who was on Crickbuzz Live, and it's important to listen to him. Or his perspective is nice because he's a IPL captain. So he did mention that if he was in the leadership or the management team, he would back Sanju Samson because that's what they've done. Ishan Kishan, as you rightly mentioned, he's only had 3 good games, but Sanju Samson has been playing for the last almost 2 years. Ever since the 2024 World Cup ended, he's been our opener, and he's had some really good innings. So you should back him. And I think Surya Kumar Yadav also mentioned a few months earlier that Sanju Samson is our man, and he'll always get our backing, and he's free to play however he wants. And that's why I think Sanju Samson is taking the freedom to slog from ball one. Otherwise, he would have played a bit more cautiously. But I hope Surya and the management stay true to their words and don't drop him at this very last moment, because then it puts more pressure on Ishan Kishan as well. Because if he sees Sanju getting sacked, then he will think that he also needs to perform to stay in the side, which is the classic case of uh, teams like Punjab or RCB in the past. So I think they'll back him at least for the first few games in the World Cup.
Yeah, and the fact that Sanju Samson is still playing freely and with the same mindset just shows that
Yeah,
the team management is also, or rather, the environment in the team is quite good, and there's no added pressure on Sanju Samson, or he's too adventurous a person. So
yeah.
either one of them.
As long as India is winning, he shouldn't have any problems. The moment we start losing because of early wickets, that's when questions will be asked.
Yeah, and one thing to consider is that we will be playing our league stage games against very weak oppositions, let's be honest. So, whatever team they start with, I'm sure the players will get a lot of leverage because they can kind of perform or skew their numbers in the good direction by performing against USA, Netherlands, Namibia, and it still counts as performing in the World Cup. So all the rat race at the moment is just to be a part of the starting 11, because once you make it to that, it's going to be very easy, at least in the first few games.
Yeah. But I wanted to ask you a question that actually started this conversation, which is Tilak Verma actually going to come back in time? And what's his update regarding his injury?
From what I've heard, he will be fit in time for the World Cup. So uh, I think they were planning to play him in the fourth and the fifth T20I, but maybe now that they've won the series, or maybe their combination is settled, they wouldn't want to risk him if he's not fully fit. But he will play the World Cup. That's what I've heard.
Okay. Because then
So
it's a bit of a dilemma, because do you want to drop Ishan Kishan, who's played 5 T20s and is set, for a Tilak Verma who's coming back after an injury, so you can't really guarantee if he'll still have his form. So it actually helps that we have matches against US and Namibia, that he can also get in and treat them as warm-up matches. No offense
yeah,
to the teams, but that's the truth.
yeah. I mean, the way they are playing against someone like New Zealand, surely you can be safe in assuming that the first few games are going to be a cakewalk for this Indian side. And I think just another update is that India will be playing a warm-up match before their actual campaign begins
Okay.
on the 4th of February in Mumbai at the DY Patil. So that will be against South Africa. So
Oh.
another game. So I think these many matches would be more than enough to settle in on the combination.
Yeah.
So I think the next talking point for me was Rinku Singh. Surely Rinku Singh and Shivam Dubey, actually, because they are the ones who have been a part of this setup for a while and even a part of the previous management, and we can see that Gambhir hasn't really tweaked much with their roles in the team. Rinku rarely got a chance up the order in the past, and even now he's been kept as the designated finisher, which he did so beautifully in the first game. He didn't get a chance after that to bat, but that's all to blame on the super talented Indian batters at the top. So I feel Rinku Singh has kind of molded into that finisher role, which I would have assumed someone like a Hardik Pandya would take, but you can see that they are regularly promoting him at the top, and he's also doing really well. So, do you
Yeah.
think this setup of Hardik as a more of a middle overs enforcer at number 5, and then Dubey sometimes, so I'll say Dubey and Pandya take up that spot and they leave Rinku Singh for the finisher's role. So do you think that is a good setup, or you would like to see Rinku at the top as well?
I think I'm happy with Hardik and Dubey because they keep alternating them based on how many spinners are left. So if there are too many spinners, then Dubey comes out and starts slogging. Whereas I think against South Africa, and if I'm not wrong, I think South Africa, Hardik played a crucial knock in one of the games. So he's a guy who can play slow when the wickets are gone, and then he can accelerate at the end. He's shown that for Gujarat Titans when he was their captain. So I think they wouldn't want to change anything now. Rinku Singh has done well as a finisher, and it's actually better if he doesn't have to bat because then it means that the top order is playing well. And if India is winning a match very comfortably, and if Rinku hasn't batted for a few games, they might promote him. But in a crucial must-win knockout game, they wouldn't change anything. They'll keep Rinku as the finisher.
Yeah, but what I actually am fearing is that now that they've seen the kind of batting India is producing game after game, now that Akshar Patel is outside, they might feel a bit enticed to bring in Akshar instead of Rinku Singh and preserve Kuldeep and Varun as well. So that would mean Bumrah and Arshdeep as your two pacers, and Kuldeep and Varun as the two spinners, and then Akshar, Hardik, and Dubey as your other fillers. So that could
Yeah,
be something they try if they feel that they don't require that kind of batting depth. So maybe they
but
can look at
I
that
think
option.
as much as I know Gautam Gambhir and his tactics, I don't think he'll play Bumrah, Arshdeep, Kuldeep, and Chakravarti together. They'll drop Arshdeep for Harshit Rana in that case to strengthen that batting a
Yeah.
bit more.
So that would mean Harshit Rana comes at 8.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't think Arshdeep is ready for a number 8 spot. But at the moment, their plan is maybe to play one of Kuldeep or Varun so
yeah.
that they can accommodate Rinku Singh, which also works. But I think when they are in that pair, they do better. But Kuldeep over the years has been unfortunate. He doesn't really get to play with his cha. His Chahal before, now it's Chakravarti.
Yeah, he should maybe invest some time in his batting drills. But I think it's too late now for him.
That ship has sailed. So, one last thing about this Indian team, and I know I've conveniently ignored Abhishek Sharma because he's so good that you don't need to talk about him. But the one person that we desperately needed to talk about before the series was Surya Kumar Yadav, the captain.
Yeah,
He was kind of going into the all talk no show category, and even before this series started, in the press conference he said, I'm batting beautifully in the nets and it's just a matter of time. And it really was just a matter of time, because while it did take a bit too long for my liking, he has finally come to life, and at the very much the best time possible for this Indian team. He got a cute little 30 in the first game, but he looked good, and then he unleashed in the next two, scored a brilliant 80 in the second game, batted well with Ishan Kishan, and in the third game with Abhishek, he got another, I think, 60. So he looks really good, and I think the one thing that we have seen with Surya is that once he gets going, he's very consistent. Saw that
Yeah.
in the IPL as well, and I think he has got going. So danger signs for the opposition.
Yeah, he's pulled a Kohli because in 2022 Kohli came to form just before the World Cup, and that's exactly what Sky has done. As I'm looking at the stats for the series, he's currently the highest run scorer. He scored 170 runs in just 3 innings, and that's even better than Abhishek, who scored 150. But as you mentioned, Surya, uh, not only as a batter but also as a captain, people were questioning him because he had become somewhat like Rohit Sharma of the past, where he was just the captain but didn't score any runs. But now, hopefully, I think even you were criticizing him at one point. That shows how bad it was. But now I think all the people can shut up and praise the Supla shots that will come to Wankhede very soon.
Yeah, I think he has done well as a captain. We always nitpick because we have the liberty to do that, considering the kind of giants we are in world cricket. But if you zoom out a little bit, you have to admire the way he has captained, and the
Yeah.
fact that we haven't lost a single series under his captaincy is just unbelievable. You have come
Yeah.
to a point where even if we drop a game, uh, i- it attracts a lot of eyeballs. That's
Exactly.
how good we are. And our win ratio is, I think, around 6 or 5. So after every 5 wins, we lose one, which is just unreal, because even the very best of Indian captains in T20 internationals had a win ratio of about 2 or 3 at max. So the fact that we have surpassed and taken such a big leap after what I had felt was already a peak when we won the World Cup in 2024, to just continue from there, it's been brilliant. So credit where it's due. Surya Kumar,
Yeah,
the captain,
the
hasn't been a problem.
the issue with his batting was that, especially after the South Africa series, in which we lost that one game, and after that one specific game, a lot of people were starting to question if Surya Kumar needed to stay in the side just because he's the captain. And that's what I was talking about. People were saying that we have other options like Shreyas Iyer, Tilak Verma as well. Sanju Samson also can be a captain. That's what people were saying. But now hopefully they'll realize, what Surya Kumar Yadav brings to the table. Because even if you have Abhishek, Ishan Kishan, Rinku Singh, Hardik, when Surya Kumar Yadav gets going, then no opposition can stay safe. And that's exactly why he was the world number one a few years back. So he's back to his best, hopefully.
Yeah, so I can only say one thing. Woo! Surya aa raha hai! So I think we are all set as the Indian team is concerned. The only kind of weak link in that batting is also fixed. And
Yeah.
what was not a weak link is, of course, Abhishek Sharma. I think it is just unbelievable what he is doing, just game after game. And
Yeah.
I think one of the craziest facts that I got to know today about his innings, his latest magic piece, was that he didn't play a single dot ball. he,
Oh.
he played, I think he scored 68 of 20 and not a single dot ball, which is just unbelievable. I can't even imagine the command he has over his batting at the moment. because
68 of
even the
20, that's
best,
even better than hitting a 6 every second ball. He's doing better than
yeah,
that.
at a strike rate of 340, it is just unbelievable. And this is against definitely one of the better attacks in international cricket. I'm not saying it is like the gold standard, but it is better than at least half of the teams that we might face in the World Cup. So
Yeah,
that is just a brilliant number, and the consistency or the frequency with which he comes up with such knocks is just unbelievable. It's
yeah,
getting to a point where even Surya Kumar Yadav's innings seemed slow to me, in just because of what Abhishek did. But in any other form or in any other situation, Surya's innings itself deserves a lot of respect for the speed alone. But when someone is batting at a strike rate of 340, your 250 also starts to look a bit slow. So just unbelievable, and I don't know when will this stop, because I know a lot of people are waiting to
yeah.
jump onto Abhishek Sharma, but at the moment he's not giving them any room.
Yeah, I actually started noticing Abhishek after the or during the Asia Cup, because before that I thought that okay, he hits runs for fun and he might not do it consistently against good teams. Not that Asia Cup had good teams, but while I was watching those games, I think in every single game he gave India a good start, except the final. But leading to the final in every single game, I think he scored a quick fire 40, 50. And that's when I started noticing his consistency, because scoring a big fire or a quick 20 ball 50 is fine, but doing it every single game it's quite commendable. And since then I've been keeping a track. I think he finished last year as India's, out of I think world cricket's highest T20 batter in terms of runs, and he was I think 15 or 20 runs away from Virat Kohli's 2016 season, which was, as people say, legendary and nobody can ever match. But Abhishek came so close. Even though he played more games than Kohli, he significantly less. I think he faced very few balls compared to Kohli. I think 500 balls less. So that shows the consistency to score those many runs, but also the speed. And he's continuing that even into this year. So I hope he stays in form for the entire World Cup, and then in the IPL, I hope against MI they get him out.
Yeah. So all that to just bring it down to that level, I feel Abhishek Sharma is a truly revolutionizing T20 cricket.
Yeah,
And to say that after it has gone through so many iterations already, it is a big compliment, and hopefully he will continue to lead India's charge. The one thing that I actually liked about or like about Abhishek is he's always been known to play such knocks ever since he's debuted. But what I liked about him is he's constantly improving and he's raising the bar, because I think in his very second international game that he played, he scored 100. That was against Zimbabwe. But in the game before and after that, he got ducks. So that is one thing that I thought would happen more often with him,
yeah,
which should be a big innings, but not consistently. But over the years, or as he has progressed, he's just increased the frequency. And when you pair such numbers with that kind of consistency, I think he's already a cheat code in T20 cricket, and he's a big reason why India are doing so well, or at least why the opposition fears India even before a single ball is bowled.
yeah. I just sometimes think if Abhishek can, the only thing he can improve is once he gets to a 70 or 80, instead of trying to hit a six of every ball, if he can slow down a bit and take the innings deeper and score those hundreds, I think he can add more value to the side, because then he can keep playing for a long time. he'll be a set batter and then at the end he can keep slogging. But given the other batters that we have, I don't think the need for him to play carefully. He can just
Yeah,
keep banking and then if he's out, then there are other people. I
yeah,
think that
that
that's
is.
something SRH might need this year. So it will be interesting if he can play like that as well, or if he has just one gear.
Yeah, I think that is something that is a choice available to him, but I don't think it is encouraged by the management because of,
Yeah.
as you mentioned, the kind of batting India have. Instead of him going deep, someone else can also cash in. So I think that completes our preview slash review of the three games and looking ahead of what's to come for the Indian batting. A quick mention on bowling. I did talk about it in my uh, TUF mini that Kuldeep Yadav seems a bit off, and though he did well in one of the two games, I think he just doesn't look like the Kuldeep Yadav of old, the one that dominated from 2022 till I think last year. Something has changed. I think even in the Asia Cup he was quite effective and he was bowling with a certain rhythm which has gone missing ever since I think he's played a little bit of test cricket and something has gone wrong. I can't exactly point where it went wrong, but he just seems to be bowling a lot defensive and it doesn't look like he's trying to take wickets anymore. So that is a bit of a problem, and surely they aren't looking at Ravi Bishnu as an option in the World Cup, though he did really well today. But there are only so many players you can fit into that squad. So Kuldeep Yadav, at this point, I feel there's no way he's starting ahead of Varun Chakravarti if it comes down to that. But him not being in form can be a cause of concern, especially in the later stages where they might want to play both the spinners.
Yeah, uh, I didn't really keep a track of Kuldeep, but I saw that in the ODIs against New Zealand. He was bowling too full, and then the likes of Mitchell and um, Glenn Phillips, they were hitting him for sixes. That's something that I have not seen in a while, as you mentioned, but I hope he can come back. He really misses MS Dhoni quite a lot. That's what I've heard from him because he did the best under MS Dhoni and then under Rishabh Pant. So I think he needs that keeper who can help him a lot. And in India, with Sanju Samson, KL Rahul, they're not the most talkative players, or they're not ones who will give him a lot of feedback. So I think he's missing one of those leadership figures behind the stumps. That could be an interesting thing. Let's see what happens. But as you mentioned that he won't start, there's a certain Washington Sundar who's also getting fit. So he might actually also start because he can bowl in the power play, so he can free up Bumrah for the middle and death overs.
Yeah, I think before he was injured, he was definitely in the plans
Yeah.
to start. But at this point, I don't think they should try and accommodate him. If need arrives, maybe later on when the pitches get a bit slow. But
Yeah.
right now, I think India is in a good position to start without Washington.
All right. So what would be? I think they've already announced the World Cup squad, but who would you pick as your key bowlers to look out for in the next few games? On whom India's chances depend.
Yeah, so I think they are satisfied with Varun Chakravarti, though he didn't seem as lethal as he was, but they decided to rest him for a game. I am interested to see on a little bit more from Arshdeep Singh because he did bowl really well in the first game and then was taken down in the second. So I think it's a pattern which is starting to develop where he isn't consistently delivering good spells. Uh, though it is difficult in India in bowling in the death, but still I think he has more to offer, and I would like to see him uh, get another chance. I'm really impressed with Hardik Pandya, the kind of rhythm he's bowling with. I think this is one of his all-time peaks as a player, which is just unbelievable. 10 years into his career, and he's hit his peak once again. And over the years, at least in the last few years, his injury concerns also seem to have reduced a bit. I think I don't remember the last time he was kind of unfit to bowl or something like that. Yeah, I have to touch my everything golden here. So hopefully that continues. I know you have a few different interests as well regarding his fitness, but at least for India, he surely can deliver. Bumrah, there is no need to worry, though sometimes he seems to be a bit off, but I've seen enough of Bumrah to be assured that he deliberately uh,
He doesn't
doesn't go
push
full
himself.
throttle all the time,
Yeah, exactly.
because whenever there's been even the slightest of doubts on his performance, he just turns up in the very next game. So something tells me he has control over his performance. So I'm not worried there. So I think when you have got Varun Chakravarti, Jasprit Bumrah, and Arshdeep Singh as three of your bowlers, so 12 overs of absolute class, and then Hardik Pandya is bowling the way he is, I think again this is another department where India are world beaters. I to be very honest, I just can't see this team losing a single game in the World Cup. Though we have seen them drop a game against South Africa, then before
Yeah.
that against Australia as well. But I think they're too good, and once they've kind of hit the right rhythm like they seem to have right now, I don't think this team can be stopped.
Yeah, I think we also we said the similar thing about SRH going to this year's IPL, and they performed really poorly because the batting was one-dimensional, and even when the players got out, they tried only to hit runs. And Cummins, I think he mentioned that he wanted to score 300 this time. So I think that's the only weakness that India has right now. And as I said in the Asia Cup final as well, a lot of players haven't really faced real pressure when it comes to World Cups or knockout matches. So these two things are the only weaknesses that I see in this side. I think they are smart enough to adjust their mindset if an early wicket falls. Although they chased 210 and 15 overs, so can't really guarantee that. But I think the experience is the only problem. But I hope players like Abhishek, Ishan Kishan, if they are going to play him, and Tilak, I hope they have enough IPL experience to help them.
Yeah, I think I've been keeping a track of kind of noticing if in different situations does this team crack under different situations. But I've seen them lose two early wickets in a 200 plus chase and then chase it down in 15 overs. I've seen them in the Asia Cup final being 30 for 3 on a tough pitch and then still chasing it down there. And I've also seen them uh, in a mess while defending a total, and they still managed to do that in due. So I think they've kind of shown us that they can adapt to any situations. But one thing that I would like to say is that there are a lot of teams with good batting attacks in this World Cup. So
Yeah.
and the conditions will suit all of them. So while India's batting is so very dangerous and threatening, it is the bowling that will make the difference in the World Cup, because nobody has a bowling attack that can actually restrict oppositions to 180 on 220 pitches, and then also kind of be able to defend under pressure in due So that kind of versatility in this bowling attack is what will make India uh, a team that stands apart from the rest, not their batting. Though the batting is much more appealing to everybody, but I think the bowling is why India is going to win this World Cup.
Yeah, as the famous cliche goes, batters can win you matches, but bowlers will win you tournaments, as it has been
Hello,
proven
Harsha.
several times. Yeah. You also mentioned that we should talk about New Zealand, and I think we should. They do deserve a quick, a brief summary from us. So, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think New Zealand's bowling is might have looked really weak with the way India treated them, but genuinely it is one of the better bowling attacks because Jacob Duffy, Matt Henry, both of them are really good, and they have added Kyle Jamieson as well. So that makes it a very good bowling attack. Uh, I think Zach Folks was one of their more preferred options, but he went down hard in the first two games, so they had to replace
Yeah,
him with Jameson. And when you have got Mitchell Santner as your spinner, he's also very good. Is Sodi is a bit of a hit and miss, but I would still say, as a entire unit, this is one of the better bowling attacks going around. So I was a bit surprised with, and even more impressed with India's performance. But coming back to New Zealand, I think their batting is where they need to sort a few things out. Uh, you simply cannot play Rachin Ravindra at that position because it just pushes your better batters way down. Either you make Rachin Ravindra as your finisher or get one of the batters out and try and accommodate Michael Bracewell or James Neesham, who
yeah,
will return to the squad. I think Finn Allen is going to definitely start.
yeah,
So Devon Conway, I don't see him continuing the kind of form he has shown. So
yeah,
for me, Tim Safford and Finn Allen are your best openers. So they definitely have to open. And one thing I would like to see is Daryl Mitchell get a bit higher. So that leaves you with either Rachin or Chapman. You can't play both of them. So ideally, Chapman is a better player and he can play in the spot where New Zealand need a player. If you want to accommodate Rachin, you just push Daryl Mitchell to number 5 or number 6, which is way too low for someone like him. Or else you'll have to push Glenn Phillips down, which is also a waste. So I think Rachin Ravindra is that extra piece in the puzzle. So they need to do away with him and get in Bracewell or Neesham and then Finn Allen at the top instead of Conway. Just see how that goes. I know Finn Allen will be playing only in the 5th T20, so they still have one more game. I would like to see them drop Conway right away and get in Michael Bracewell or Neesham for an extra game. And for the time being, you can maybe push Ravindra at the top. So Ravindra and Seifert to open, and I would see Mitchell at 3 and Phillips at 4, and then Chapman, Bracewell, and all of them.
wow, that's a quite a exhaustive summary and action plan. But I do agree that the only thing New Zealand can take away from this series is that this still is not their best playing 11. There are players like Neesham and Finn Allen and Michael Bracewell who would make the first 11 who haven't been playing in this series. So that's the only positive for them. Apart from that, as you mentioned, they might want to try a few combinations. I'm not sure what their group is like, but I think they should make it to the Super 8s or Super 10s, whatever it is.
Yeah,
But after
they
that,
are
it
in
looks
the
quite
group of
tough.
death.
Oh,
They've
it's a
got
shame.
South Africa and Afghanistan in their group. So that could spell a bit
So
of
yeah,
trouble.
so it's looking tough. Anyways, we'll cover that in our T20 World Cup podcast. But I think this was the worst possible outcome for New Zealand. I'm sure the bowling attack must be feeling quite underconfident now after this thrashing from India. But the good thing for them is that this is the worst that can happen to them because I'm sure no other team is going to smash them this much. So it's only uphill for them from this point.
Yeah, I think they, more than anything, they desperately need to get out of this series with some consolation. A win or at least a close game would help, because sometimes even when you have got the right combination for the tournament, when you are facing such a strong team and you kind of collect losses on the bounce, you start feeling a bit underconfident.
Yeah.
And I know it's not a part of that culture where you try and move things around quickly and try and make changes at the very last moment, but still you want to go into the tournament with some sort of clarity, that, or at least some sort of validation of your team lineup and all the kind of preparation you've done. So
Yeah.
last two games I would like to see them take at least one of them, or at least go closer.
Okay, so just to wrap up, do you see India making any big changes when it comes to resting players like Abhishek or Hardik or Bumrah? I think Bumrah might be rested, but do you see players like Abhishek and Hardik who have been playing for a lot of time?
I think Hardik Pandya is someone I would definitely be interested in resting, and maybe get an Akshar Patel, because he's going to start in the World Cup. So if he's recovered from his finger injury, I would like to see him replace Hardik. I don't really see Abhishek requiring a rest, but if Tilak Varma gets fit in time for this series, maybe you can rest Abhishek and try out Tilak while Sanju Samson gets another chance. So that is something that can happen, but more than Abhishek, I would definitely rest Hardik Pandya.
And what about New Zealand? Do you think they should still keep playing their best strength or just forget this series and regroup again for the World Cup?
I think had they won even one game, maybe they could have been in a position to do that. But at the moment, they need something, and I hope their management isn't satisfied with that batting combination. As I mentioned, it needs work, and considering just 2 games away, some quick changes need to be made. Not exactly changes, but corrections, because this is definitely not going to work. Rachin Ravindra, I think he is just not the right fit.
He's
in
not
this
a
team.
T20 player.
Yeah.
Neither is
Rachin and
Darren
Conway
Mitchell.
together
Yeah.
is a recipe for disaster, especially when that pushes your better players down the order. So
Yeah.
either play Ravindra as a finisher and make him bowl a bit, or replace him with Michael Bracewell or Neesham and get your Daryl Mitchell to play at 3.
Yeah, that's true. I think Ravindra, Mitchell, Conway, all of these are players of the last T20 era. But since 2024, it's a new era, and even players like, I shouldn't say this, but Rohit Sharma, KL Rahul also don't belong to this era anymore because they can't keep up with their run with the strike rates. So they definitely need to make some changes. But I think with that, we have spoken everything that we had to. Congrats, by the way. India have won another series. Not a surprise, but I hope we can make it 5-0 and go into the World Cup with the best possible preparation.
Yes, so 2 more games to go, and right after those end, we will hop on again. There's not much to really review about this Indian team, but looking forward would also be a good kind of an insight. So we will be back, and until then, This is Ved signing off.
Bye.